Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 38 based on novel. So let's start. The speed of time in the origin continent is very slow, and the space is also very stable. When Luophone was chasing after the Blood Cloud Lord, he burned his divine power and used his swordsmanship to tear the space apart, but that was only the shallowest layer of the space. The Chaos layer is located at a very deep level in space. Most Chaos Lords cannot escape into the Chaos layer on their own. The simplest way is to go upstream through the ruins of Chaos and reach the Chaos layer directly. The rumbling power of Chaos is endless, and there is no end in sight. When Luophone went upstream from the void hole, the surroundings were very narrow at first, but the further he flew upstream, the more spacious it became, until it was completely boundless. Luophone also understood, this should be the Chaos layer. Such a strong power of Chaos spread everywhere. Luophone looked around and felt that the Chaos layer was like a boundless ocean, and the power of Chaos was the sea water. He was a fisherman who had just entered the sea to explore. The leaves of the Shuyan Mother Tree are indeed magical. Luophone glanced at the leaf in his arms. The leaf was constantly emitting invisible energy and void fluctuations, which naturally covered Luophone. Within this range, the Chaos layer does not reject Luophone at all. If you carry this leaf with you, it will completely wither in about a century, which is long enough. Luophone was still very satisfied. He observed the Chaos layer carefully like a curious baby. One could see the endless power of Chaos rippling, with sections of Chaos laws materializing in various parts of the Chaos layer, making the Chaos layer even more splendid. These randomly manifested Chaos laws were not all the same. Luophone looked at the Chaos laws that shone brightly with golden light, the Chaos laws that looked like frost and bluish white, and even the Chaos laws that looked like silver white. If the Chaos laws showed a slight change, their external appearance would be different. Chaos has infinite possibilities. A slight transformation may result in various appearances such as Chaos Gold, Chaos Fire, Chaos Thunder, etc. Once you master the laws of Chaos, you can move forward towards any path of origin. The essence is the same, but the appearances are different. Luophone thought that countless practitioners, no matter what system they practiced or what tricks they realized, ultimately led to the law of Chaos. Luophone flew slowly around, watching the chaotic laws that randomly appeared around him materialize, and comprehending them carefully. Different manifestations bring Luophone different insights. Just as Luophone was carefully comprehending it, suddenly a stream of fiery red light emerged from the chaotic airflow and instantly rushed towards Luophone. Luophone was startled, and his divine power burned instantly. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the fiery red light. The fiery red light twisted and struggled in Luophone's palm. However, when Luophone burned his divine power, the power of his perfect divine body was enough to surpass those newly promoted Chaos Realm cultivators in the bloodline cultivation system. Of course, if those Chaos Realm cultivators had cultivated for a long time and improved in all aspects, their might would not be comparable to Luophone's. At this moment, it was still very easy for Luophone to just catch a little guy. Luophone was looking at his palm, which contained a fiery red insect. Its shell was like fiery red glass. It looked very small, but its struggling force was very strong, comparable to that of Limo, the vice president of the Blood Python Society. It is a Chaos layer creature. Luophone has known this for a long time from the intelligence he has learned. The Chaos layer medicine box has endless chaotic power, and naturally it also breeds some special creatures. These creatures have extremely low intelligence, act purely on instinct, and are unable to communicate. Master recorded in the intelligence that creatures in the Chaos layer feed on the power of Chaos and act purely on instinct. Their bodies contain more or less Chaos laws. Because of their low intelligence, their strength is generally at the Eternal Realm level. Those who can reach the Chaos Realm are extremely rare, and they all have very special body structures. They have long been captured alive by some major forces in the origin continent. Luophone looked at the fiery red bug in his palm. He heard that if it could not devour the power of Chaos, it would starve to death, and even its body would completely disintegrate and return to the world. Even the weakest practitioners in the origin continent can absorb the energy of heaven and earth and will never starve to death. However, these chaotic creatures whose strength ranges from the eternal realm to the chaos realm must feed on the power of chaos. Without food, they will starve to death and their bodies will disintegrate and return to heaven and earth. There is no chaos layer creature with chaos realm strength in the entire chaos layer. Because they are too precious, they have been captured alive long ago. Luo Feng looked around. To him, the chaos layer was magical. But for some of the top beings in the origin continent, sweeping the chaos layer would be an easy task, so they would allow their younger disciples to practice here without worrying about encountering danger. The eternal true gods who can come to the chaos layer are all elites cultivated by major forces. They have profound accumulation in all aspects. It is the most basic situation for them to realize a few chaos realm moves. Their strength generally reaches the level of General Yong and Blood Cloud. For them, after the chaos layer creatures with chaos realm strength were captured, even if the remaining chaos layer creatures were stronger than them, but they acted only on instinct, they would not threaten their safety. Snap! Luo Feng used a little force to crush the insect that had been struggling in his palm. The body broke into dozens of pieces, and each piece was still struggling to merge into one. The vitality is really strong. Luo Feng observed, the divine power penetrated the broken parts, and he could also detect traces of the law of chaos. In the chaos layer, the chaos law can materialize at any time and in any place, and each manifestation has a different name. Perhaps at some point, a small creature is formed. These chaos layer creatures are considered to be the solid manifestation of the chaos law. Luo Feng thought. Huyang City, City Lord's Mansion. Many eternal true gods from the 5 major families gathered together to send off the Princess Yu Shui Qianyu. Your Highness, Luo he went to the chaos layer along the chaos ruins and has not returned yet. Huyang City Lord said in a low voice. Before, Yu Shui Qianyu said that she would leave during the day the next day, which was actually to give Luo Feng a chance. Before she left, Luo Feng could look for Her Royal Highness the Princess. But once she returned to the capital and reported to her father, it would be too late for Luo Feng to go back and become his disciple again. After all, the King of Yu was such a high-ranking official that he was rejected once, so how could he be given a second chance? Yu Shui Qianyu shook his head gently. It seems that he really has no intention of becoming his disciple. With such strength, he must have a powerful inheritance and may be a disciple trained by a powerful force. The Lord of Huyang City nodded in agreement. On the origin continent, it is normal to have multiple masters. When you are weak, you may have the eternal true God as your master, and when you become stronger, you may have the Chaos Realm or even the God King as your master. This is all very normal. Luo Feng's refusal to take the ruler of Yu as his master naturally led to many speculations among them. Let's go, you don't have to see me off. Yu Shui Qianyu waved her hand, and a huge boat appeared in the sky. She immediately led a group of men to fly towards the boat. These men also included the Black Butcher and his disciples. The Black Butcher brought a total of 9 disciples and some family members and servants this time. After all, he would not be able to cook every meal himself when following Her Royal Highness the Princess in the future. For some ordinary guests, he could just let the disciples cook. The 9 disciples were all trusted and liked by the Black Butcher, including Suozi. I didn't expect that I would go to the capital. Suozi's heart was still beating fast until this moment. The previous night, his master suddenly returned and immediately summoned the 9 most valued disciples to ask them if they were willing to go to the capital together, and also said that they would follow Her Royal Highness the Princess. The 9 disciples were a little confused, but they all agreed without hesitation. Go to the capital. How could they be willing to miss the Suozi brothers if they were to follow Her Royal Highness the Princess? Among those who came to see him off from afar was Suo Yun. Ever since the Black Butcher became the eternal true god, Suo Yun has been much more enthusiastic towards Suozi, and at this moment he bid farewell to his brother with tears in his eyes. Suozi flew towards the flying boat and saw Suo Yun who was seeing him off below, and nodded slightly. No matter what barriers there are between them, they are brothers who grew up together in the tribe. If they are to be separated completely in the future, it may be difficult for them to meet again in this life. Suozi, we are going to the royal capital. I never thought that I, a true god from the bottom of Huyang City, would become a void true god after learning cooking from my master, and now I am going to the capital. The other disciples of the Black Butcher were also very excited. 2 of these disciples brought their families with them. Her Royal Highness the Princess has granted the Black Butcher a cave which is quite comfortable for housing his family and servants. As the huge flying boat traveled through time and space and completely disappeared over Huyang City, the farewell group began to disperse. Suo Yun, who was seeing him off, watched the scene silently. I tried my best, even risking my life to seize every opportunity, but I was still just a middle-level member of the Dark Force, Qianshan Tower, in Huyang City. And Suozi just followed the Black Butcher to learn cooking skills. He went to the capital like this, and he could follow the princess. Suo Yun couldn't figure out why the difference between their fates was so big. Really, it was fate. In the Chaos Layer. As the days passed, Luo Feng was concentrating on comprehending the manifestation of various laws of chaos, and he also encountered many attacks from chaos-level creatures. Although these chaos-level creatures only had instincts left, they were all very aggressive. Luo Feng also captured a lot of Chaos Layer creatures, and even split their bodies to examine them carefully, but after letting go, these creatures would be scared and run away after their bodies merged. Obviously, they also knew fear by instinct. On this day, Luo Feng, as always, carefully watched the manifestation of the law of chaos and pondered over it. A ray of silver light emerged from the chaotic airflow, and flashed past Luo Feng like a silver knife. Luo Feng burned his divine power as always and stretched out his hand to grab. His seemingly simple stretch of hand contained a mysterious artistic conception. The stupid silver light could not avoid it at all and was directly grabbed by Luo Feng. Well, Luo Feng only felt a pain in the palm of his right hand, and the silver light had already shot out of his palm and stopped in the distance. Luo Feng looked at his palm in surprise. There was a bloody wound on his palm. The skin and muscle layers were cut open and blood was dripping. Luo Feng looked at the silver light hovering in the distance. The silver light was ready to move and spy on Luo Feng. The intelligence of this chaos-level creature is very low. Although its moves are not as mysterious as Blood Cloud, its power is even better. Luo Feng was delighted to see the prey. He had suppressed Blood Cloud as a night watchman in the beginning. Not to mention that he has now realized the chaos level moves and his strength has increased again. Call out! The silver light suddenly flashed and the arc of blood-reducing silver light instantly expanded more than 10 times, like a silver silk thread passing by Luo Feng unpredictably. Yeah! Luo Feng saw the thread passing by him and reached out to grab it again. Luo Feng's grab seemed ordinary, but the mysterious silver thread could not escape and was caught by Luo Feng again. The moment he grabbed it and stretched it, Luo Feng felt that the silver thread in his palm was too bare. The extremely sharp and smooth blade slid out from his palm, leaving only a deep wound on Luo Feng. Several silver lights flashed around Luo Feng, turning into silver threads, silver lights, or silver spikes. They were all incredibly fast, making it difficult for Luo Feng to catch them, leaving behind bloody wounds. Interesting. Luo Feng looked at it with a smile. If you don't use some tricks, you won't be able to capture it. This silver light is about to attack Luo Feng again. Luo Feng also stretched out his hand this time, but this time his 5 fingers were like 5 pillars of heaven, instantly covering the silver light. The silver light seemed to be trapped in a cage with no gap to escape. This is exactly the move, 5 directions sealing the sky, that Luo Feng used in his domain. Luo Feng comprehended the origin of life and destruction, and in addition to comprehending the Chaos Realm moves, he also comprehended some scattered moves. In terms of power, it is even more powerful than the first 6 swords of Break the World Sword. This move, 5 directions sealing the sky, takes the meaning of 5 directions splitting the sky but with the addition of a knife, and incorporates Luo Feng's understanding of the origin of the law of chaos. If the 5 directions splitting sky knife is intended to split the sky and tear the heaven and earth apart, then the 5 directions sealing the sky is the opposite, using the 5 directions artistic conception to seal the heaven and earth in order to trap the enemy. Before, he could not catch the silver blade light at random, but now he used the 5-direction sealing heaven technique to completely trap the silver light. With the random grab of the 5 fingers, the silver light was naturally entangled. The silver light beast struggled to escape, but it was entangled between Luo Feng's 5 fingers and couldn't get out. I want to see what kind of biological structure this little guy has. How can such a small body have such power? Luo Feng used the extinction method to burn his divine power to the limit in an instant. Crack! Luo Feng's might exploded, and his 5 fingers suddenly exerted force with a force far greater than before, trying to split the body of the silver creature. Luo Feng was extremely surprised by my force. He felt that the silver creature was extremely tough and could not be torn apart. I can't tear its body apart even though I'm burning my divine power to the limit. Luo Feng was surprised. Luckily I've learned a move from the Chaos Realm, otherwise I really wouldn't be able to do anything with it. This Chaos Layer creature only had instincts and no consciousness, which made Luo Feng's willpower secret technique useless. Luo Feng held the silver creature in one hand and used the index finger of his other hand, burning with divine power, to perform the Chaos Realm move of refining the heart, which only Luo Yi could master. His finger lightly slashed across the silver body as if dissecting the void with the tip of his finger knife. The silver body instantly broke into 2. When Luo Feng's finger passed over it, he could feel the toughness of the silver body. After breaking, the toughness of the silver body immediately dropped drastically, and its luster became much dimmer. Luo Feng grabbed half of the silver body with his left hand and his right hand and exerted force lightly. The 2 sections of silver body were completely shattered into silver droplets. 109 silver water droplets? Luo Feng looked carefully at the colorful water droplets in front of him. They wanted to merge into one, but after splitting into the most basic silver water droplets, each of their power became very weak. Luo Feng's divine power prevented them from merging. This silver water drop. Luo Fengxing watched carefully. In his eyes, the silver water drop was magnified billions of times. The silver color looked like a huge star. After the water drop was magnified billions of times, it was still an absolute spherical shape. The surface was extremely smooth. Traces of the law of chaos could be vaguely seen on the surface, and there were traces that penetrated into the silver water drop. Luo Feng's finger swiped across the silver water droplet, and the silver water droplet immediately disintegrated into silver zero gas and the materialization of the law of chaos. Luo Feng watched carefully, and when the silver mist dissipated, the materialization of the law of chaos also dissipated, and the tiny silver water droplet was completely annihilated. No wonder it's so slippery. Luo Feng looked at each drop of silver water in his finger and found that it contained the complete law of chaos and the 2 characteristics of chaotic water. I have seen the Chaos Layer creatures and studied their bodies. Those Chaos Layer creatures before only contained a limited part of the Chaos Law. But this silver light creature has a complete Chaos Law creature. Luo Feng realized something. The difference between a partial Chaos Law and a complete Chaos Law is obvious. Collect. Luo Feng thought about it and collected the remaining 108 drops of silver water into the Star Tower. These 108 silver drops of water appeared out of thin air on one of the layers of the Star Tower, separated by space naturally. Luo Feng first brought 2 of the silver drops of water together and they naturally merged. The drops merge one by one, and when 10 drops have merged, a silver thread is formed, which is already quite powerful. When more than 100 drops are fused, a bright silver light will be formed. Even if all the silver light drops are fused, the power of the creature will not increase much. The more silver water drops there are, the stronger its power will be, but it is obvious that a certain amount will be needed before there will be a qualitative change. Luo Feng thought to himself, this is only over 100 drops. If there are 10,000 or 1,000,000 drops, I'm afraid it would be considered a Chaos Realm strength. Luo Feng carefully observed the silver light that was kept in the Xingchen Tower. Stop! The silver light is moving anxiously inside the room of this level of Luo Xingchen Tower, but it can't get out at all. I heard that creatures in the Chaos Layer feed on the power of chaos. Luo Feng thought and threw a few chaos crystals to the silver light creature. The silver light flew to the chaos crystals, wrapped around the chaos layer creature, and began to slowly eat the silver light. The strength of the chaos droplet creatures is related to the chaos laws within their bodies. Luo Feng thought, it's a pity that we can't see those creatures with chaos realm strength. According to the intelligence, all the chaos layer creatures with chaos lord strength in the chaos layer were captured alive and taken away. They are very attractive to the god kings. These rare and extremely powerful chaos layer creatures can be captured alive and kept in captivity for a long time. Luo Feng thought that he could glimpse the laws of chaos and some special applications from them. Luo Feng's small universe. Under a big tree, the canopy covers a large area. You rarely come to my place, Yuanzu. Luo Feng personally poured fruit wine for Yuanzu. Try it. This is the fruit wine I collected from various fruits in the small universe and brewed many times. It tastes very good. Swallow. Yuanzu took a sip of the wine glass and said, it tastes good. I didn't expect that Luo Feng would still brew some wine. Just practicing. Luo Feng also picked up the wine glass and tasted it. I came here to thank you, Luo Feng. Yuanzu said with emotion, fortunately, I have the inheritance of the 9 nightmare realms you gave me. I have been practicing in the origin continent until now and finally broke through to the eternal true God realm. Breakthrough, original lease, Luo Feng was overjoyed. The stronger the human race was, the happier he was. After all, the origin continent is full of crises. If one day I fail, there are still the original ancestors to protect the human race. I have comprehended the laws of the origin continent much more clearly, and now I have inherited the law and finally made a breakthrough today. The original ancestor smiled and sighed, the law lineage is indeed difficult. After this breakthrough, my life in the origin continent will be much better. Luo Feng nodded, finally, the hard work has paid off. In the origin continent, the living environment of the void true God and the eternal true God is completely different. Original ancestor, your small universe has not expanded yet, Luo Feng said. No hurry, you are the only one who knows that I have realized the source of the law of the land. The small universe and the divine body are not in a hurry to break through. The original ancestor looked at Luo Feng. Once the divine body breaks through, my strength will no longer be concealed, and I will have to face some choices. I am hesitating whether to join the official Yangfeng ancient country or be an idol cultivator. Official. Luo Feng said, the Yangfeng ancient country has unfathomable heritage, so it would be more appropriate for me to join the official country. Although being an idol practitioner gives me more freedom, I am also more dangerous. And I will also go to the Yangfeng ancient country in the future. You also come to the ancient country of Yangfeng, said the ancestor. It will take quite some time. Luo Feng said. Both he and the owner of the museum, Di Chuyu, had to reach the Chaos Realm before Di Chuyu would recruit them. Currently, both he and he were still at the eternal true God level. It would take a long time for him to reach the Chaos Realm, and Di Chuyu didn't know how long it would take. I will listen to you and join the official team. Yuanzu no longer hesitated. He knew very well that Luo Feng had inherited the lineage of Duan Donghe and had a deeper understanding of the top forces in the origin continent than he did. Moreover, the original ancestors in the origin continent also saw that the newly promoted eternal true God still had to live cautiously. With the official cover, the safety was indeed greatly increased. This is the second half of 9 Nightmares Realm Time, which contains many secret techniques of the eternal true God level. Luo Feng handed a memory stone to the original ancestor. You don't have to practice illusions for me, Yuanzu said immediately. He didn't want to affect Luo Feng's practice. I practiced many methods simultaneously just to accumulate knowledge for reaching the Chaos Realm. Luo Feng said with a smile, thank you. The original ancestor then took over the memory stone and received the inheritance information of the second half of 9 demon realms. After receiving this inheritance, the original ancestor realized that chaos was too far away, and it was also when he suddenly understood the gap between himself and Luo Feng. He has just become the eternal true God. And one of the illusion techniques that Luo Feng practiced was already at the peak of the eternal true God. His true strength was probably even more powerful and terrifying. Then I will go and make a complete breakthrough now. Yuanzhu stood up. Feng also stood up to see him off. Luo Feng's days after that ushered in a rare peace in Huyang City. The Heart Shadow sect is also gathering the elites of some sects that have long been scattered across the origin continent. If they want to attack a chaos state, the stronger the better. If they can form a devastating force, that would be the best. It's just that some sect elites are too far away from the Food Kingdom. Even with the help of Liu Yin Nehu, it will take a long time to rush back. In addition, it is quite difficult to persuade some sectarian elites to join the war. Luo Feng is concentrating on practicing the origin of life, the origin of destruction, the practice of adding the chaos layer, the map of 3,000 void beasts. Luo Feng only felt that he was making slow progress every day. This video will end here.